Hi, welcome to Relish Books. Today I'm just doing a quick reading update, mostly what I have just started and what I'm going to be reading. So I checked out this massive book, which is supposed to be the complete works of O. Henry. Short stories, I really love short stories, but modern short stories, the genre that they've kind of become is really frustrating because they tend to be beautifully written but really dark, musty, just kind of gross a lot of the time. Kind of this genre that short stories have become. I talked about this in my Claire Keegan short story video where they have kept that crystalline quality of writing, like a really good short story. I love the way that a plot works in a good short story. It's a great genre, but yeah, the way that modern short stories usually go are to have just an unpleasantness to them. And O. Henry is really the opposite. He literally said about a plot point in one of his stories that he didn't want to have his villain. There's like this, I think it was in one of his plays, there was this part where a villain sanded down their fingertips to break into a safe or something like that. There was something like that in a play that somebody adapted from one of his stories, and he said that he didn't do that in the story because he didn't want to give his readers something unpleasant. He was a man who really wanted to give people enjoyment. That was his purpose in writing. And his stories are funny, they're sweet, and they very consistently have happy endings. So they're just really refreshing to read in a time when that's not the way short stories, or even most novels, honestly, modern novels, aren't that way anymore. So, been reading these. I know one of his most famous is The Gift of the Magi. I've heard that name for years and years and years. And I mean, ever since I can remember, I've heard that title. Never read it. It's literally like 2 pages long, and it is a very sweet little story. So I enjoyed reading that a lot. I just started this the other day, Silas Marner by George Eliot. Anybody who's watched my videos for a while knows that I am not a George Eliot fan, but I respect her place in literature, the importance of her work in literature, and I wanted to make a George Eliot video where I talk just more about her writing, why I respect it but don't personally like it. And I was like, well, I have only read 2 George Eliot books, so I should really probably read more before I do that. So just started Silas Marner, and I have to say I'm only like 1 chapter in, but it's a short book. She is so knowledgeable. She's so capable in her writing. Yeah, I just don't tend to like her tone, but maybe this one will be different. Maybe I'll love it. You never know. So that I am still working on For Whom the Bell Tolls. Been working on this for a while. It's interesting because it's written over this space, at least so far, of not a very long period of time. It's about very up-close events here in this Spanish Civil War, with a lot of kind of impending doom and action, and yet it's written in such a slow style. It's written at a very slow pace, just the way that Ernest Hemingway's writing works. You really have to take your time to digest it, so I'm not rushing through it. I'm just taking it a chapter here and there, slowly working my way through. And then this, I'm not even positive if I'm going to finish. I checked this out because I wanted something to listen to on a road trip that I'm going to be taking on Monday. And so I went to the audiobook section of the library where I have, since they're reopening, I haven't even looked at that section. And I was kind of sad and happy at the same time because I saw that they have tons of books that I really want to read, a lot of which they don't even have in physical form. And I would have to double check on a lot of these. It could just be that I've missed seeing them. But I was like, man, I want to read so many of these, but like I talked about in my audiobooks versus real books video, I'm not opposed to audiobooks, but if there's a book I really want to read, and if I think that it's like going to have good writing, I really want to read the book of it myself. I want to read a physical copy. So I kept seeing all these titles, and I was like, man, I want that, and I want that, and I want that, but I'm not going to get them because I want to actually read those books at some point myself. So I looked around for a long time, and I finally, somebody said, after I had read Pierre Nisi, somebody said that Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell was one of their favorite books. I really know very little about this. I don't really know anything about it. I don't know if it's something I would like. I don't know what kind of stuff it has in it, but like, got a long drive, just need something to listen to, and I feel like it's the type of thing that's good to listen to. Just from the blurb on the back, it sounds exciting, intriguing, and the writing, that's the thing. I don't like to listen to really great writing on audio. I prefer to read that myself, but I like things that have like passable writing. I never want to listen to bad writing, but passable writing with like a good story is like perfect for an audiobook for me. So then I don't feel like I'm missing out on the experience of the language, like myself in the book, but still a good story. So hopefully that's what this is. I don't know how far I'll get, if I like it, don't like it, whatever, but I will let you know about that. So those are the things that I'm kind of working on right now. I have plans for other things coming up, but that's like my focus for right now. I'll probably be finishing Stylist Marner first, obviously, because it's short and I want to do a video about it here soon. But another thing I wanted to talk about real quick, I would really like if anybody has book recommendations for what I've really been craving reading lately is just like a cozy book. I love reading classics. I've been reading a lot of more serious stuff lately, it feels like, which I really love, but I get really craving just something quick and easy and comfortable. So if anybody has suggestions for books like that would fit it doesn't have to fit the style of what I like to read, but I don't know. I've looked at so many books at the library that look promising on the outside, and then I open them up and they're just like, I want something basic. I don't mind if it's like simplistic, but I want it to not be trash. I want the writing to not just be bottom of the barrel, cranked out type stuff. Yeah, and sometimes I can do stuff that's more like that. I have a confession. I don't know how many people will have heard of these, but I have read every single one of Jan Karen's novels, the Mitford series. I've read every single one, and they are incredibly mediocre. If it was left, there's a bit of a story there. If it was left up to me, I would probably only have read about the first 3, but my sister kind of made me read all of them, even though she wasn't reading them. But anyway, I have read all of them, and even as I was like sick of them towards the end, there is a quality there of just comfortableness. I love stories. I wish there were more stories of a higher quality that were set like in this small town environment with well-known characters. Jen Karen runs her characters absolutely dry, and the ones that are supposed to be funny aren't funny in the first place. So I have a lot of problems with those books. The first few are pretty good, pretty solidly enjoyable, but even something like that, if somebody has recommendations, I'm just kind of in the mood for that. I've read a lot of, mystery books can kind of fill that role sometimes. Read a ton of Agatha Christie. I read a lot of Alexander McCall Smith's books until I got completely burnt out because they are pretty much the same every book with not any real character development at all. So, like, the first few, the writing is quite nice. It's quite, like, it's not bad. But then after a while, you're like, oh, he's written 5,000 books that are all the same. So, yeah, if anybody has recommendations for anything like that, yeah, leave me a comment and I will definitely check out any and all suggestions to see if they would be what I'm looking for. Anyway, that's my update. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.